Welcome to Contemplative Living, where we view contemplations for the week to have a better understanding of our spiritual paths. This is Contemplative Living with Dave Bennett, contemplations and reflective meditations. Hello and welcome to another Contemplative Living. I'm Dave Bennett, and this is where we talk about concepts that bring contemplative living into our daily lives. I'd like to start out this morning with a little something that I found on the web. The senses are of the earth. The reason stands apart from them in contemplation. And that was by Leonardo da Vinci. And it kind of sets the theme for what we're going to talk about today. All right, let me get the first slide up here. We are woven together, interconnected, and each of us have a role. So, just like these books stacked on top of each other, each of us has our story. Each of us has our life story. And we're all interconnected with each other. Father to son, mother to daughter, to our community, to our friends. We're all interconnected. Our stories interweave with each other. And each one of us has a role in life. In our life, we have free will, but we also have a predestined path, I believe. This is my belief. And I witnessed this in my near-death experience when I saw into my future that there was a core path that was very clear, but then there was also the opportunity to vary off our path and to weave one way or the other. And this came up in an interview that I was on yesterday, that we have this free will and that we can move one way or the other, but we always are kind of drawn back to the center, to our path. And knowing this can be an incredibly powerful and empowering way of living our life. Knowing that with our free will, we really aren't going to wander too far from our path because we've agreed to certain things in life. So before we go much further, I'd like to give some shout outs to folks that are on, watching live. So hi, good morning, Shirley. I'm glad to see you made it today. And Jean French, I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Good to see you guys. All right. So, excellent and wise impulses lead to right actions, arising and carrying good for the whole. So what are we saying here? Let's break this down, that when we use our wise impulses, and where do those impulses come from? They come from spirit, of course, and with all of our inspiration. So excellent and wise impulses lead to right actions. In other words, keeping us on that path. That's what nudges us from one side or the other of our free will and brings us back to center, is by following that inspirational pulse, those knowings that suddenly just arise within our consciousness, and they carry good for the whole. This is important, especially in this time, that we try to maintain that good for the whole, that we work toward a better place for our children, for our future generations. And so I invite you to pay attention to that inspiration and to see yourself staying in the center of your path. Then when the still, quiet awareness in our spiritual hearts wakes up, it overflows as love. That quiet awareness that gives us the nudges has nothing but love for us. And when we acknowledge it and we allow it to imbue us with that love, it overflows and it fills us with the desire to move forward, to keep moving. Now we want to keep moving. We don't want to be static. And it's awful easy these days with the pandemic and everything telling us to stay apart from each other and to, stay shelter at home and that sort of thing. It very much feeds into a fear that we should be alone and that we should not be engaging. But we can still engage. There's ways to engage, whether it's online like we're doing right here, right now, or just through correspondence and reaching out to people. We've kind of lost touch. And I remember we used to have pen pals when I was a kid and things like that. We need to reach out to our friends and stay in touch. It's amazing how when we engage, that love, we can feel that love. We're all interconnected. Like, we first started talking about how we're interwoven together. And so pay attention to that quiet awareness that is nudging you to reach out to someone that maybe you haven't spoken to in a long time. So we can always rise after a fall with the help of our circle. So if we're interconnected and interwoven with each other, when we fall down, why don't we reach out? Why don't we reach out for a helping hand? Today, in this culture and with what's going on in our world, we need to help each other and we need to ask for help. I had a lesson a long time ago when I was just recovering from my cancer. And I felt that I had done everything that I possibly could to facilitate my healing, and that the disabilities that I suffered from, that was as good as it was going to get. And I had come to this acceptance that I needed to be at this level of suffering. How silly is that, right? So I had forgotten that, we have friends that want to help. We have a community that is trying to reach out and help everyone. So why don't we participate in that? Or why don't we allow that help if we're in need? So asking for help and asking for assistance, and that's what I ended up doing. I heard about a friend who was able to do some healing work that was beyond what I've been able to do for myself. And when I reached out to them, they did some miraculous work on me that helped me to get even further down my healing path. So don't allow yourself to be caught up in this mentality that we're all sequestered away and that sort of thing. Empathy and selflessness are pleased when looking out for each other and celebrate others' successes. It feels like we're in a maze, and it feels like we're just turning left, turning right, and we're not getting anywhere. There's just another wall in front of us, and that we just have to, and sometimes we need to look out for each other. Like we were just talking about, helping each other out. Our empathy reaches out to one another. And when we reach out to one another in a selfless manner, our inner being is pleased, and it helps us. It helps us when we help others. And so, and also, there's always been this kind of ego sometimes doesn't want us to celebrate other people's success. It's one of those things. It's like, because we came from this hunter-gatherer type of mentality. We want to gather, and and when we see someone else that has gathered a bigger pile than us, our egos are like, oh no, they have more than us or something like that. And it's rather a silly notion, but it's hung on to our DNA, because that's where we've come from. That's where humanity has come from. And so we need to kind of put that down and put that away. We don't need to carry that anymore. And we need to celebrate when one of our brothers or sisters is being successful. And and it's a good thing. And to help them celebrate their success is vital in today's society, because we're all kind of struggling, even though we may feel like we're moving ahead. So I invite you to explore the foundation of our sense of reality. Is it based on kindness, honesty, clarity, and love? We all, at times, need to step back and take a breath and look at our core values. Our core values, and then establish what is it that I want to espouse in this life? What is it that I want to move, to create motion with in this life? Because if I want kindness, and if I want to live with kindness and honesty and clarity and love, then I need to move it and to keep it a part of who I am. But I need to recognize that first. The first step is exploring the foundation. Okay. A building is not stable unless you have a firm foundation that you can build upon. So what is your ideal? Myself, I try to live with acceptance of self, tolerance of others, and living within my truth. Those are, that's a pretty solid foundation. And with that, I found that my action to help empower that foundation and to build upon it is to be more discerning and less judgmental. That helps me to be accepting of my values, but also be tolerant of other values, but yet still live within my truth. So explore your foundations. What is it that really resonates for you in living in this life? And how do you feel that you can move forward and create an action for that? So, whoops, I didn't want you in there. How'd you get in there, little guy? So anyway, the thing is, and then you want to uphold your ideals. Yet more importantly, put them to action and hold fast to your role. Remember, we talked at the beginning about that we're interwoven together, and that we each have a role within that interconnectedness. Well, what is our role? Our role comes from the foundation of our ideals. And then as we build upon our ideals, we can move forward in life and creating that empowering life that for everyone, So it's important that we spend some time recognizing our interconnection and moving forward, always moving forward. We don't want to stay static, even though in today's culture, it really, really feels like we're just being shoved into a box. We need to open the box up, and we need to continue moving forward. Now is not the time. Now is not the time to be static, because we can get beyond all of our challenges right now. No matter what they may be, we can get beyond them by working toward a better future. So Examine your foundation, understand what your core ideals are, and then put them to action. So I want to thank you. We have a few more shout outs. I see a couple more folks came here. Let's see. Who do we got? Charles. Hey, I'm glad you're here. And Chuck. So, and then Kathy. Kathy, thanks for giving a shout out. All right. So remember, let's love each other. Let's recognize our interconnection and move forward. All right. Thank you so much. Namaste.